Albertsons. This is like the organic section of produce. Most stores have like just sections for organic food. Obviously the prices are going to be way different. Yeah, there's like organic stuff kind of contributed into the store, but like there's just whole sections with organic to make it a little bit easier for people who want to buy organic food. So here are some examples of just a couple of foods in Albertsons with like different price points from organic versus non-organic. So like normally when people go grocery shopping, it's either you buy organic or you don't buy organic. So obviously your bill is going to be a lot different. Like my mom said in our interview, obviously she puts aside the money to buy organic all the time, and some people don't want to, some people can't. So yeah. Okay, so pretty much a lot of people have meat in their houses. Obviously it's a big price difference. This meat right here, chicken, $2.29, $3.99, whatever, like just for some chicken. Then we go over here, right? Okay. And then we got 88 cents a pound for the same thing. Maybe even more, who knows? Is it going? Okay, all right, so basically here, we got this bread, $5.29, all right? Like, so this is organic, all right? And then we go down, you know, whatever. Also, might I add, same brand, this one is $2.99. Not organic. All right, so here we go. We already have regular grapes, $2.99 each. Organic, $5.99. All right. We got this. We got some organic milk, right? All right. Let's see, like $6 a gallon. All right. Seems kind of crazy. Let's look at the non-organic. So now we come over here. We see $1.99, all right? So like, you're probably thinking, wow, that's a huge price difference, but here's why. Obviously, like organic milk doesn't have as long as a shelf life as organic does. The cows are fed better, and there's more nutrients in organic milk versus non-organic milk.
This final project, we are on the topic of organic foods and organic ways of growing food versus non-organic. When researching for this, I have actually found many things that went against what I thought about organic food, but also many that go right along with what I formerly believed. A few things that have surprised me were that organic crops have the same to more yields than the other, and organic ways of farming are less vulnerable to financial market fluctuations. As for this subject of yields, I have always heard that organic was way below average, but that is a myth. According to naturespath.com, after a transitional period of 3 to 5 years, organic systems can produce up to 95% of conventional yields. When I said that organic farms are less vulnerable to financial market fluctuations, they really are in many ways, such as they are less dependent on fossil fuels, don't have many expensive inputs, and less annual loans, so that's a big plus to organic farming. Now, the biggest thing people talk about when they're on the topic of organic is price. I found a study done in Maine by the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association, where they took prices for 21 different products, both organic and non-organic. From the price that they give, a few prices were eggs, organic were $4.18 a dozen, non $2.59 a dozen. Milk, organic, $7.36 a gallon, non $7.39 a gallon. Lettuce, organic, $3.54, non $1.78. Tomatoes, organic, $4.05, non $2.82. That's just some of the examples that they gave, but just from that you can see the higher prices that organic foods carry with them. But the choice is yours whether or not you buy organic or not. Just keep in mind, without the GMOs, pesticides, and other things, it is a healthier option for you and the environment.
I interviewed my mom for this project because she's the one that does most of the grocery shopping in our family. The first question I asked her was, how does buying organic foods affect her budget? She said that organic foods are more expensive than regular foods, so as much as she'd like to buy all organic, she has to pick and choose what foods are most important to her so that she stays within her budget, and she constantly looks for sales on these organic purchases. The second question I asked her is, how does buying unhealthy items affect her health and well-being? She said in general it is often cheaper to buy and cheaper to eat unhealthy foods. However, most of these foods are processed and affect her health in very negative ways. So many processed foods can be linked to many diseases and cancers, so it is important that she limits the processed foods and unhealthy foods that she buys. The third question I asked her was, how does non-GMO foods affect the environment versus foods with pesticides and other poisons? She says that the foods are sprayed with pesticides and other poisons not only affect our bodies but affect the environment in a negative way, like air pollution. She said it also affects the animals in these environments that end up eating these foods in a bad way. The non-GMO foods have not been exposed to toxic chemicals, which in turn are better for consumption and have overall better effects on the environment and the living things in these environments. The fourth question I asked her was, how much on average does organic food cost versus regular food? She said she thinks organic foods cost anywhere from 2 to 3 times more the amount than regular foods do. She tries to buy organic when possible or looks for sales on certain organic foods. The fifth question I asked her is, if you don't purchase organic foods, how do you make sure you aren't consuming pesticides? She said she personally buys a fruit and vegetable spray that she uses on the outside of these products, which she supposedly moves the wax-like pesticides that are sprayed all over these items. After interviewing my mom, I realized that her side on organic foods is very similar to mine also, that you need to look at your budget and also look at your health and have a good balance of both. And so for her, she also not only looks for organic foods, but she looks for healthy alternatives in case the organic foods are too expensive for her budget, because they can run very expensive. And so I did some research on it, and the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association webpage said that organic ground beef is 134% more expensive than regular ground beef. And so that's just something that not everybody can afford on a daily basis. And so you have to look at your budget and also your health and well-being and figure out which one is more affordable and which one is more needed at the time. And so for me, if I can be healthy and use healthy alternatives, like how my mom uses the pesticide spray on fruits, if I can do that and that's going to save me a little bit more money, I'm not necessarily going to buy organic foods right away. But if I know it's something that's good for my health and I need it at the moment, I will definitely spend the money and work around my budget for that.
Our group researched the pros and cons of purchasing organic and non-organic food. In my opinion, buying organic food is healthier for you because there are no pesticides or GMOs. According to an article called GMO Basics, GMOs are genetically modified organisms that are intended to achieve a desired trait such as resistance to a pest or tolerance to drought conditions. For me personally, I've grown up with my mom buying organic foods in order to keep us away from pesticides and harmful chemicals like GMOs. Now that I am on my own in college, I continue to buy the organic foods because I understand the harm that non-organic foods may cause. In another article called Red Book, it says that some studies have linked pesticides in our food to everything from headaches to cancer to even birth defects. This is just another element that shows that organic food is better for you. However, the con of organic foods are the expenses. In comparison to non-organic, the organic foods are almost double the price because of the time that goes into growing those crops. Organic foods take longer to produce because organic farms refrain from using chemicals and growth hormones used by conventional farmers. Basically, what this is saying is that in this case, time is money. Most of our group members interviewed their parent to find out what their opinions are about organic and non-organic food and how it affects their budget.
Has been to the supermarket recently can attest to the fact that prices of organic foods at the supermarket are generally much higher than conventional either non-GMO, GM, or GM foods, often by as much as 50%. Much of this increase comes from the inputs necessary to grow organic food, including more land to grow crops, labor, and tilling. Let me finish this. Like tilling and weed removal, and using high volumes of organic approved pesticides. New player, the Non-GMO project label, not to be confused with the USDA organic label, is also beginning the change of landscape of food pricing from organic to GMO. Project is a non-profit that is based in Bellingham, Washington. It requires to demonstrate how their food is produced without genetic modification, which is easy for, say, salt, which has no genes or genetic material. To speak of but harder for living organisms like corn, the Non-GMO project has a tolerance level of GM of less than 0.9%, the same as the European Union countries. This is rather different from the USDA's National Organic Program, which doesn't have as strict a threshold for GM and also requires submitters to show that they aren't using prohibited pesticides or fertilizers. And are using farming, so a product could be non-GMO but not organic.
I love how he's reading off the page and he's still like having trouble reading. That was weird, I'm sorry.
Most shoppers, about 67%, according to a recent survey by the NPD group, say they aren't willing to pay more for non-GMO food. About 11% of those surveyed said they would be willing to pay more. In a country as large as the United States, that 11% may be enough to profit from. For example, a search of avocado oils from Avaha showed a 250 milliliter bottle of organic non-GMO project certified avocado oil was $15, while a conventional extra virgin avocado olive oil of the same size was $12.50. An 8-ounce bottle of non-GMO project avocado oil was selling for $12.75, while a conventional bottle of avocado oil was selling for $7.35 for 17 ounces. Interestingly, there are no GMO avocados. So when you look and see these overall products, they're just showing that you have to be careful when you're looking at your GMO and non-GMO. They might be just trying to scam you out of your own money. But as far as non-GMO food, it's definitely going to be a lot more expensive because you have to pay for pesticides, you have to pay for other, as far as like less poisons and stuff like that, and keeping, so. As far as what this goes for, while prices, especially retail prices, can come from a lot of sources: transportation and processing costs, marketing activity, regional differences in price and cost. The price premium of this new product helps illustrate how costs of crop go down.